Hawks lose 3-0 to Boston. Yes, the Blackhawks in their final home game of this month because the NHL decides to screw us over for a start of a season by giving us this terrible start to a schedule. We got the gauntlet and we are getting screwed. This is a rough start to this season as the Hawks now drop to a record of 5-0, losing their second game against the Boston Bruins, this time in the United Center, 3-0. This was another, honestly, terrible effort by the Blackhawks. And frankly, I can see them losing the next game because they play against the Vegas Golden Knights again. The Hawks losing against the Boston Bruins in a game where, frankly, they look like a good team in the first period of play, and that was about it. Connor Bedard would have been on the score sheet in this game, but no. Stupid Boston calls a challenge and decides to take away the goal because the refs think there was an offside. I frankly don't believe that was offside play. Athanasiou played the puck into the offensive zone on a power play, and it leads to Bedard scoring eventually 30 seconds later. And Boston challenges to call offside. So the Hawks lose it 3-0. Stats of the game: shots on net 43-23 for the Boston Bruins. That is terrible. Face-off percentage: face-offs went 33-32 in favor for Boston. Power plays: both sides were terrible at it. 0-4 for the Bruins, 0-3 for the Blackhawks. It was just another, frankly, terrible power play, terrible line combinations. I have to say it. Luke Richardson has made some bad line combos this season, and it's not been looking good. It's time to give up on this experiment of putting Lucas Reichel at the center dot. Give him an opportunity at the top left wing position. Put him with Connor Bedard. Maybe it will open up some offense for this team to keep the opponent off of Connor Bedard double teaming him. If you can get two offense players on one line, it will help. But no, that has not been the case because the first line consists of Nick Foligno, Connor Bedard, and Tyler Johnson. And frankly, Foligno and Johnson at this point are not offensive threats. Foligno today did look good, I will admit that, but that's about it. Johnson, not so much. He didn't generate anything in the offensive zone. The Hawks couldn't get anything going, and they losing this game 3-0 is honestly a pure down statement. They played terrible from the second period through the third period. And let's look at the goals of the game, shall we? First period, no goals were scored, even though Connor Bedard would have had a power play goal, and it was taken away on a coach's challenge from Boston. We go to the second period. The Hawks were playing a good first period of play, but Boston was getting a little bit more on the edge, and we go to the second period, and Boston came out in all force. And at the second period, Boston gets on the board pretty quick. At 3:50 in the second period, following a Blackhawks power play to start the period, the Hawks get stuck in their defensive zone, and Pavel Zacha gets a tip in up front of the net, assisted by Shattenkirk and DeBrusk to make it a 1-0 game. It should be 1-1, right? Well, no, because the previous goal taken away of Connor Bedard. And that was the only goal scored in the second period. Hawks, though, looked horrendous. They allowed 16 shots this period alone and had only 5. Not good production by the Hawks in the second period. Boston just had the Hawks on their heels, on the ropes, Peter Mrazek stood strong to hold the Hawks in it to keep it a 1-goal game. Going into the third period, it was pretty much Boston. Hawks had a few opportunities after killing a power play of the Bruins, and then Boston answers to make it a 3-0 game pretty quick, because at 4:06 in the first period, Matthew Perreault makes it his third goal of the season, assisted by Morgan Geekie. Yeah, a guy who no one heard of has now had 3 goals on the season, and he beats Peter Mrazek easily because Corey Perry kind of turns the puck over in the offensive zone, and it leads to a breakaway for Boston, and he goes 5-hole on Mrazek to make it a 2-goal game. And then about 56 seconds later, at 5:02 in the third period, Trent Frederick up front of the net gets a greasy goal to get his second of the season, assisted by Van Riemsdyk and Coyle. Coyle, who had a terrible game this game, frankly, gets an assist because hockey is stupid. It just was a bad Hawks let-in. Connor Murphy loses a stick, and the Bruins take advantage of it going in. Murphy just looks lost, and Bruins just go into the offensive zone, into the slot, getting onto Mrazek's pads, and Frederick buries it in. And that's the only goal. That's the only 2 goals in that period to win this game 3-0 for Boston. And frankly, the Hawks had a few chances, but they couldn't beat Swayman. This was a bad game by the Blackhawks. I get it. We're a rebuilding team, and I get it. Boston thinks they're a contender. I frankly think they're a bunch of frauds. I really can't see Boston going far this year, even though, yeah, they're 6-0-0 to start the season, but look at the schedule they've had to start the season. Look at the schedule we have had to face to start the season. It has not been a good start for the season. It's been a gauntlet of tough opponents, because the last 2 games before this game were against the previous 2 Stanley Cup champions. This game was against the previous President's Trophy winner. And next game is against the defending Stanley Cup champions again. It's a rough go for the Hawks. And down in the comments down below, I want to hear what your thoughts are. And thank you for watching the broadcast. Please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And most of all, it's time to change the lines and get some help for the Blackhawks.